Journal entry 3,269. Quarantine day. Who knows anymore? I haven't even talked to another human being in so long. It's so lonely here. I wish there was somebody that
What you working on there, Kyle?
Oh, you're here.
I am.
1 second.
End of journal. Signed, Kyle Pepitone. P.S. Run the intro.
Hello, all, and welcome to another episode of King's Chaos. I am your host, Kyle Pepitone, aka the Kyng-Pin parentheses of Spades, and today I am joined here with Jack Powers of the band You Might Be Mine. Jack, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
First of all, thanks so much for having me, Kyle.
Yeah, no problem.
It's a pleasure to be here with the Kyng-Pin of Spades.
Yeah.
I'm here in your presence, and it's great. My name's Jack Powers. I started the band You Might Be Mine, I play drums, and I'm studying music at Montclair State, and music is kind of my thing, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how we met. Orientation.
Yeah.
You started talking about like the Beatles and stuff, and I'm like, this seems like a cool kid to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I
that's
found
how
out.
it goes with the Beatles.
Yeah, it's a way to connect. Definitely, music is definitely a way to connect. So, if you haven't caught on already, we're doing another music-themed episode, but this time we have Jack here as a special guest that I'm going to interview about his band and his career as a musician. So, we know Jack introduced himself. We know who he is, and we know that he started the band You Might Be Mine. Actually, before we go on, what do you play as You Might Be Mine for the audience? I know, but what instruments do you specialize in?
Yeah, so I play I've been playing a bunch of different instruments for like a long time, but my main focus is drums. So in the band I play drums, but then I also like when we're in the studio I'll play like piano. And
cool.
recently I arranged strings, so I was like a conductor, which was really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I could give you the details on that a little bit later, but
All right.
yeah.
So
drummer and sometimes conductor.
not very impressive. Very impressive. I did not know. I only knew about drums. I didn't know you actually played piano for the band. I mean, I can see you have a piano right there in your room, and I knew you played, but I knew you played, but I didn't know you actually played in studio, which is pretty cool. And the conductor thing is pretty cool. Yeah. So you said you were one of the founding members of this band.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Because I just read an article recently about you guys, and it said you brought in a new member from Montclair.
I totally did. Yeah.
Which is cool because I think I remember meeting him like last fall before, we weren't allowed to see people.
Right. Yeah, no, you totally did. We nothing personal, but the bass player that we used to have, she wasn't we were our plans for last summer were actually to tour.
Oh,
and we
really?
were gonna do a tour of like New York and Philadelphia and more of New Jersey than we have been playing. We were gonna just do like a little thing, and then we were gonna try to get to Boston too, but literally coronavirus comes in and none of that happens, right?
That would have been so
while
cool.
we were I know, right? And while we were planning for this tour, our last bass player was just we could tell that it just wasn't something that she was really interested in doing,
right?
Which is totally fair, like the whole like touring thing isn't for everybody, so so she wasn't really feeling it anymore, and we totally respected that, and I recommended a guy who I actually played with in the music school at Montclair.
Oh,
Yeah,
which would have been Kyle, right?
exactly. Yeah. Kyle played guitar in a jazz combo that I was in with him.
Different
And
Kyle, not me.
different Kyle, not you, right? Just to clarify, right? Yeah, no, but he played guitar in that combo, and we bonded over the fact that we both wore Green Day shirts.
Oh, nice.
So we knew that we had that going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as one of the founding members, I guess one of your jobs at the very beginning was coming up with a name for the band. So,
Oh yeah.
how did you come up with that name? And more so on that, what's the meaning behind it?
All right. It's a little bit of a story.
Ooh.
So so we started this in middle school, and you know how middle schoolers are, right?
I faintly remember.
Right. So, at first the band was literally just me and a bass player, and we would be jamming all the time because he lived down the street from me. So he'd come over, we'd jam and stuff, and we used to take the bus together to school, right? So we'd be on the bus, and I was talking to him, and I was like, "Yo, Dan, wouldn't it be so funny if you had a band that was called And he goes, I mean, I guess, maybe. Why are you saying that? And I was like, Dan, I'm going to name this band And he goes, yeah, okay, maybe. And then I just did it anyway, right? So we, for a long time, were just literally the letters
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we were literally just and it was like it was a whole bit, because like whenever we would play live, like the people who were introducing us, they'd be like, all right, and now introducing and so I thought it was funny.
I appreciate that.
Right, yeah, I thought it was funny. It was a thing. But then we actually, when we went to the studio for the first time to record our EP, we were like, all right, now we're going to put this on Spotify. We're going to do our stuff. And we realized that like there was already a band that was going by
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like with like copywriting and stuff, like you can't really do that.
Yeah.
And also in terms of I don't know how into business the people that are listening to this might be, but like SEO, like search engine optimization,
right.
Like if you look up the letters like you're not going to find anything.
No,
right?
not at all.
Yeah. So we were like, all right, we're going to have to rebrand, guys.
Tears.
And, yeah, no, seriously, like we were going to have to let the bit go, and it was going to be sad. So, so we parted ways with that. And what we did was we were like, all right, when I came up with that name, we didn't have lyrics. We were just jamming. So
Right.
Now that we have lyrics, let's base our name off of like the thematic ties of all of our songs. And it just so happens that a lot of our songs are about like, like romances that don't go so well, and stuff that, it's not like particularly like, like straight up love stuff. And
Right.
it was actually Gabby that suggested "You Might Be Mine" as a phrase. And then what I did with that was I was like, wait a minute, if we, instead of making it the word you, we use the letter U, we could still have
Right.
as like the first two.
Clever.
Yeah, so that's why if you look on like our website, or if you look at like some of the earlier designs that we were putting out, the letters U and M are red, and the rest of the word is black, because it was like, look, it's still but it's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's smart. I like that.
Yeah, so we did that, and then, but it's also funny too, because Gabby it was one of those things where it just clicks, because Gabby says that, and I said, wait a minute, and I literally got a piece of paper and just drew the logo.
Which is the heart and the question mark, right?
Yeah. I literally was just like, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it, guys. Like,
I really do like that, the logo.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, seriously.
you do a lot of the designs, right? I remember you telling me that you did, for the covers and stuff.
Yeah, I do all of them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I've always been like into art and stuff, but
Yeah.
it's so it's really cool to get to do that
Right.
in
Yeah.
like a, I don't know, in
Yeah.
a
I
way.
think
Like,
I think that would benefit me too if I ever started a band, because I am an animation major. So like I would
Yeah,
have that
right.
right down.
Yeah, no, and I keep telling people that like the skills of learning how to like make videos
Right. Yeah.
and like make work with like images and stuff and like design things, dude, those skills are so important if you're
Yeah.
trying to like start anything on your own in the age of the internet. Being able to like make videos to promote yourself and animations, if
Yeah.
you can do that, man, like that is such an incredible skill to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely, because like it's very hard to outsource stuff when you're just beginning and you like really can't, for lack of a better word, like pay somebody.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And at the same time too, like it's I've found that it's been really nice to have like the creative control of being able to like make a brand for yourself,
Right.
And like I like back when we were working more on like our website and everything, like I designed a font for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, it's all about branding.
Nice.
Making it
Yeah.
look professional,
Yeah, I
As we
probably
are.
have to do some work on that. I definitely have some branding plot holes or branding potholes that need to be filled.
And you know what? It's a process.
Yeah,
That's just how
definitely.
it goes,
So now that
Yeah.
we understand why, or now that we have your naming convention and how
Yeah,
your whole
right.
branding thing is, what like got you into the idea of like, what was, other than just jamming with your friend, what was your initial idea or inspiration to start a band? Like, why did you want to start this? How did you go about this? And like, what people did you draw from like as influence
Mhm.
in order to start off?
Yeah. So first of all, I gotta say that my dad is the one that got me into playing drums.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he played drums in a band in high school, and they did he told me, like, when I was a little kid, he used to tell me stories about how they did one basement show and they played like Van Halen and Rush and all
Nice.
that, all the good like classic rock
Yeah.
stuff. And yeah, so he like told me stories about that, and then he bought me a drum set when I was a kid. So having that influence from my dad was that was definitely something that pushed me into being like, yeah, like maybe being in a band would be pretty cool. But then I got really into Green Day.
Right.
And
As you do.
and that, yeah, as you do, right? As like really as you do. And that was yeah, I remember listening to them so much, and I would play all of their music all the time. Like I literally I had all their stuff on my iPod. And I would put on my iPod with my headphones, and I would just play straight through like entire albums of their music. And that is how I started playing with the bass player, which originally like formed this band.
Right.
He would come down the street, he'd come over, and we would like literally we would play through Green Day albums. Like
Oh,
I
cool.
remember one time he came over and we played like Dookie like front to back.
Nice. I think I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, dude, like that, like seriously, Green Day really did pull us together on
Yeah.
that one. And then yeah, and then like the first time that we had Gabby come to a practice with us, our singer, she sung American Idiot, and that's like
Oh, nice.
that was like, not that we were like auditioning her, right? Because like we already knew that she was like a good singer, but like,
Right.
um it was like, all right, let's see, can you play some Green Day with us? Like, let's see.
Beautiful.
So Green Day really pulled us together.
Yeah.
That's our like main influence.
Yeah,
I'd
I could
say.
see that.
Yeah, right.
So now, as a band, like clearly Green Day is an influence for you, both personally and as a band in total.
Sure,
But
yeah.
is there any difference between that? Are there like some influences you have for liking music
Yeah.
or for wanting to play music that your band doesn't share as much, maybe?
Definitely. So definitely on my front specifically, I am like way more into like the Beatles than anybody else in this band is, but I also think that I'm just way more into the Beatles than like most people are. It's kind
Yeah.
of unhealthy. It's like
But they're good, so nobody
no,
can fault you for
right.
that.
Right, yeah. Yeah, no, but back to what I was hinting at before with like the strings, that the Beatles were like a big push for me with that.
Oh,
Like
nice.
Gabby and Dan wrote. So this is I'm teasing you now. We we're putting out like a new bunch of songs soon. And one of those songs, I write.
I like the
One of
sound of
those
that.
yeah, right. And one of the songs that we recorded was originally just going to be vocals and acoustic guitar.
Right.
And
Okay.
I was like, okay, this sounds cool, but I had been listening to a lot of the Beatles, and I was like, I think that we could shape this more if we put like a string quartet with it.
Oh.
So I literally, using the skills that I've learned in music school, right, at the John J. Cowley School of Music at Montclair State University, using those skills, I literally wrote a string quartet to this
Oh,
song,
cool.
and then we got it recorded, which was a whole process. But yeah, so that's how like my like I'd say that like you know I have a bunch of influences. Uh, I'm kind of going all over the place right now, but like the Beatles definitely got me there. And another like quick example is like I got really into this band called Ballyhoo. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're
I
like
don't think so. But
yeah,
what kind of music are they?
they're a smaller band from Maryland,
Oh,
and
okay.
they make they make it's like Green Day meets reggae.
Interesting.
And it's so good. It's so good. I like totally recommend them. They're awesome. And I got really into them, and then yeah, I got really into them, and then I was like, guys, we got to do something that's reggae-ish. So
Right.
that's why you get like the reggae inspired parts of the song Caller ID.
Right.
Um if yeah, if people are checking that out, that the verses of that song are like super heavy reggae inspired with all
Right.
the
Yeah.
upbeats and the little drum fills that I do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I really like that one. I actually put it on, I put Caller ID on a playlist that I had to make for the music team for radio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you,
problem.
man. Thank you. Oh, and now I'm thinking of another influence that I have. Strong Pink Floyd and strong Pink
Oh,
Floyd.
of course.
And that also comes out in that song because it was one thing to write the song and everything, but Gabby had this really clear image of like this song was a voicemail
Right.
that you're leaving for somebody, and it's like specifically she had the idea that this person is leaving a voicemail for somebody, and then the other person picks up the phone while you're leaving the voicemail and just like
Oh.
tells you off.
Okay. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So she had this super specific idea, and me, an avid fan of The Wall, right, is
Right.
like, all right, let's get some like sound effects in here. Like, let's really sell that this is a phone conversation.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got Gabby to record the intro as if she was, starting a voicemail.
Right. Yeah.
And then I actually had for the argument at the end, I had Gabby and Dan just like fight, and I just pressed record on my computer, and that's how we got that audio.
So other than drums, from what I've heard, you act kind of like as the, for lack of a better word, like creative director or like producer. Because I know during, I've talked to you like throughout all of quarantine, and you said you started learning like music producing, like mixing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
do you do that with the band for the band now more than you did in the past?
Well, it's interesting because like our creative process is really interesting. It'll usually, like, the way that it works is that somebody will come in with some kind of idea and then
Right.
everybody just throws their stuff at it, right?
Okay.
But then when it comes to recording, I feel like they'd agree with me that I feel like I have the most opinions about the recording stuff that we do. And I think that's just because I did get really into recording and producing and
Right.
all that stuff. So I got super into that side of it. And they're more just, they're playing, they're working on, writing stuff specific for their instrument and expressing themselves like that. But for me, I really did get into the production side of it. So when it comes to that, I do feel like you're kind of, you're definitely, you're right on there with, a little bit of like a creative direction kind of thing going on in the studio. But,
Right.
yeah, it's funny when I tell people about like our writing process. It's usually much more democratic than the writing styles of a lot of other bands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've spoke to. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
cool.
often like somebody writes the song and then everybody else just kind of like you deal with it. But for us, it's very much just like everybody throws things at it until we come up with something that we all are a fan of.
That's a very interesting way to work. I never thought about that because I'm sure I've mentioned this on air like in the past year or so, but at least I had tried starting a band once I got to college, and obviously the fact that you really can't talk to people makes it kind of hard to meet new people.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult.
Right. But I've been writing a lot of songs, and by that I mean lyrics. So
that's great.
Your way of working on it till everyone's happy with it, never really crossed my mind because but I thought by the time I would find people, I would have a lot of things written and finalized, which I guess it's a way to see which way works better. Like it's something to try both.
Definitely. Yeah. And I have to say that since obviously this pandemic has affected literally everybody, right? And for us, that meant not being able to have practices as often as we used to, and because we're not seeing them as much. I decided to get into producing, but I also got into songwriting on my own.
Cool.
So for the first time, I have been writing lyrics, and like I feel like I have like a much greater appreciation for that now. Because it's hard. It's hard.
Oh,
it's hard
100%.
to get that stuff right. It's hard to get that stuff right. And I'm thinking back, like after doing this, I'm thinking back to like the first rehearsals that we had with Gabby in middle school, which now are absolutely crazy to think about, because the way that she did it, and it's actually, oh my God, it's actually still the way that she does stuff, is she just writes out lyrics as if she's like writing out like poetry or something on her phone. Right. She just writes out like massive blocks of text in her notes app. Right. And and then she'll come to practice, and whenever we're playing something, she'll just throw whatever at it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I remember the first time that we were trying to write something together, and it's actually, the song that, shameless self-plug, the song that we wrote first is a song that's going to be coming out on the new collection of songs that we have. So
nice.
So you'll be able to hear that. But literally we started jamming, and our guitar player Dan and I were just playing. We're going, and she just starts singing like with words, and we're like, how are you doing that? Like, are you freestyling? And she's like, no, I have it on my phone. We were like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is crazy.
That's interesting, because that way you can get like the melody and the lyrics to like see if they work together.
Right. It's totally wild. And she definitely comes up with the melodies on the spot.
Right.
And I think that's what's cool about it, because she gets to kind of choose where she applies like the different vibes of the different sets of lyrics, depending on the vibe of like the guitars and the drums, and
So
definitely an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So basically that basically covers your songwriting process, like how you guys come up with different songs and different tunes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. That's mostly how it works for us, man. There's been like, I don't know, maybe there's been like a few exceptions to that. Like when we did Honey, um, I wrote the guitar and the bass and the drums to that. And I was just like, hey, like here's a thing that I did that I think is pretty cool. And then I told Gabby what I was like going for,
Right.
in terms of like what it should be about lyrically, and she was like, I got you. And then she actually wrote out the lyrics because I didn't think that I could write lyrics at the time, so I just
Right.
didn't. But
That's
yeah.
cool.
No, yeah, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
It's wild.
I like
Yeah.
hearing that. Like, that's a very, from what I've seen from other bands, it's a very unique way of working.
Yeah, it's strange. It's fun though.
Yeah.
It's fun. We call it like because it's on the surface it seems so like not what you not what you would do. Um but we kind of we have this thing that we do, and it sucks that we haven't been able to do it because quarantine and everything. It's been
Right.
hard to practice, but when we were writing a lot, it would be like we called it like a sneeze, where like somebody would play something and then everybody else would be like, oh my god, like I'm gonna sneeze, like that's it, like that's it, oh my god, I just gotta like do something and I'll get it. And then like you would just play and it would be like, no, like do it again, and then you do it again and everybody would play stuff at the same time,
Right.
and then it would be
Okay.
like, oh, that was it, like we just sneezed, like that was it, guys. Like that's the song.
Oh, I like hearing that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and I mean it's so much fun. And it's also cool too because now that I started writing songs on my own, like I have a process that's completely different than that. So it's cool that like I've been involved in the process of writing, both in that like crazy collaborative way and also in like the deep like I'm doing this by myself and trying to really work out what the hell is
Right.
going on. Like you know.
That's cool. I really like that. Now, you mentioned something about how you plan to tour this summer
Yeah.
before COVID kind of
Yeah.
came through and, wrecked everything.
Yeah, it was rough, man. It
Yeah.
was rough. Yeah, we were yeah, I mean, we were in the early stages of it, so we were like reaching out to
Right.
venues, and because, if you want to tour as an indie artist, right? We
Right.
don't have like a manager or like a record label who's gonna like get us on shows or anything.
Right.
You just do it all by yourself, which is a lot of work. So
I can imagine.
it's straight up just like calling places and being like, hi, we're a band from New Jersey, can we play at your venue? Like we're not gonna bring anybody, but like it'd be fun, right?
That's got to be
Um,
like nerve-wracking.
well, you know what? Like you make enough of those phone calls that you're just like making another phone call, but like,
Very true.
yeah, you're just kind of doing it.
Yeah.
It's a thing. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, when things come back, we'll have all this experience under our
Right.
belts.
Yeah. So now with touring, how
Yeah.
long were you like formally a band before you did your first show live in front of an
Yeah.
audience?
Yeah, so we did our first show. Um, we did our first show when we were sophomores in high school.
Oh, cool.
And we had been writing music for like a year before then.
Right. Okay.
I had been jamming with the bass player for an additional year before that.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
So we had been doing that, but it was like a year of us writing music and playing it in like, um, we played at like, there's a block party that happens on my block every year in the
Oh,
summer.
cool.
And we played our original stuff there one summer, but like,
Nice.
yeah, well, once we got a little bit, yeah, like it was like a solid year of writing music before we were like, all right, let's play a club.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So your first show was original stuff, or
Yeah.
was it like originals and covers?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we take it back to like the what I was just saying, the first time we played in front of people was my block party,
Right.
and that was a lot of covers.
Okay.
But that's how it goes. I mean, like I think a lot of people that are in bands can attest to the fact that playing songs that you know together is a really good way to help you find your sound.
Right.
And it's a really good way to help you find like, okay, like what do we all like? What can we do? And it's also nice. It's also like a nice challenge sometimes because, you know, you'll push each other. Like I remember like there was one time that we were playing a song by the Foxborough Hot Tubs. You know the Foxborough Hot Tubs?
No, but I think I've heard of them.
Yeah, it's weird. So basically, Green Day wanted to make weird 60s music, but they couldn't do it as Green Day.
Right.
So they made the Foxborough Hot Tubs, which is just Green Day, but just with a different name. So
I think I remember you telling me about them.
Yeah, we actually played a lot of their stuff when when we were doing stuff because when we were starting off. So like I remember one of those songs had a guitar solo in it, and Dan was like, I don't know if I could play that, but I'll try. And then he learned it, and now he could do that, you know. So
cool.
You know, it's like learning covers like that is a nice way to help you find your sound, and it pushes each other to, you know, learn new stuff. And
right.
I totally can't recommend, you know, starting with covers enough. It's definitely a really good way to do that.
All right. It's good to know for any of our audience who is looking to, you know, start a band and, you know, write their own stuff.
Which I can't recommend more. It's really fun. It's really fun. If you have any interest in doing it, totally recommend. It's so much fun.
Yeah, because when as far as I got with my very loosely named band back in last fall, we did a bit of covers, but at that point in time, I only thought of myself as maybe the lyricist rather than thinking of myself as maybe I can do the singing as well. But so basically the drummer I had and the guitarist I had, they played through like a few Green Day covers. They played through Basket Case.
Classic.
And I unfortunately, I regret it, but I was just sitting there in the music studio, like in a chair, like watching them. I'm like, okay, this is happening. I can't do much, but it's happening.
Yeah, dude, that like, it's such a good way to like, you know, like even just like playing that stuff with people for fun. Because I mean, that's how I started with the bass player. Like,
right.
You know, we didn't really have like crazy intentions like, oh my god, let's start a band. It was like, we both really like Green Day and we both play these instruments, let's just jam, which is so much fun. Totally can't recommend it more. So much
very
fun.
Very good way to go about it.
Oh yeah, also a lot of fun. Have I said that it's fun? Because it's really fun.
You might have mentioned it once or twice, but
yeah, maybe.
So now you have played I know you've played a lot of shows like before, like when they were allowed. I went and saw you at one of them, and I forgot it was at the Stone Pony, I remember.
Stone Pony.
Yeah. And that was really cool. But out of like all the places you've played, what do you think is what was your favorite show to play, like individual show, both personally and as a band? Do you all think one show was your greatest, or do you all have like different opinions on where the best show was?
Okay, so I have two answers.
Okay.
My go-to is this venue. We played at the Asbury Lanes and we headlined that, and that was so much fun. That was amazing. The staff there are really great about like basically everything. Like, it's just a totally different experience than any other venue that you go to, because, you know, not to like diss like other clubs in the area, but like a lot of times you show up and it's just like, okay, you're the band. Yeah, come on in, put your stuff over in the corner, and like we'll let you know when it's time for your 10-second sound check, right?
Right, okay.
But with Asbury Lanes, they had us sound check like way before everybody came in. and they got like all of our stuff like preset into the board. That way there was no sound checks live. And they had us they like gave us food like while
That's
we
always
were
a
there.
plus.
I know, right? And we had like a trailer that we could hang out in the background. In the back there was a green room. It was
Wow.
like, yeah, right, that like, and that's all on that that's all on that venue. They honestly like that was the best treatment that we've ever got at a venue. And it
I
was
can
also just
imagine.
it was also just a really fun show, because that venue has a bowling alley and a diner in the venue.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. I loved playing there. So that to me was like my favorite place that we've played.
Right.
But
Okay.
in terms of like my favorite like show like performance that
Right.
happened, we did a like our first big headline show um back when we were still going by the name basically what we did was we took like our favorite bands that we had been playing with at the times.
Right.
And usually like when you, just in case people don't know how this works, like usually when you're putting on a show at this level, right? When you're putting on a show, it's like you ask a venue to be put on a bill and they'll just throw you on as a headliner to some show.
Right.
You know, or if you are at the point where you're going to headline, you say, I want to play on this date, and then they give you smaller bands that will open for you.
Okay.
But the way that we did this show was we were like, hey, we really like these bands and we want this to be like a good show. So we reached out to all these bands ourselves and we put together this whole thing of a whole group of people that already knew each other.
Oh.
So there was
Cool.
like chemistry between the acts.
Yeah, that's got to
Like,
make
we
it a lot
all-
better.
Exactly. And we kind of curated, you know, the sounds that were going on too, instead of, you know, getting a whole mishmash of, you know, roughly rock music. Like it was
Right.
like, this was all stuff that, you know, it all kind of fit together. So, yeah, we were so excited about doing that show. And we called it, the name of the show was and the Super Friends.
Oh, nice.
And I made the poster, like a comic book, like a
cool.
comic book thing. And, we promoted it like an Avengers movie, with a bunch of like little short films that I put together with the
Wow.
other bands. So,
Nice.
that was like a really, that show was a lot of fun to perform. And it was also just so nice because of the environment, like everybody's friends, you
Right.
know? And it was so friendly, so welcoming. So that was my favorite, like show. But in terms of like a venue, Asbury Lanes knows what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can imagine that playing with people you know and are familiar with is a lot easier and more fun, because I remember at the Stone Pony where I saw you guys, you and your band went on up with some of the other bands and you all performed as like a huge group together. That
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, it was funny. The Flukes were like literally like the day of, they were like, hey, we're gonna do Hey Jude, you want to come up on stage with us? And we were like, what are we gonna do? And they were like, I don't know, just like come up on stage with us. And we were like, all right.
Why not?
Why not? So yeah, that was fun. I mean, we've been playing with the Flukes for a bit too. So like we end up on shows together with them a lot. They were on the Asbury Lanes show with us that we did.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we have a history with the Flukes. They're cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that like your favorite band or artist to play alongside with, or are there others that you like as well?
Well, I have to say that the band that we've been playing with like so much, like going back to the first time we played at the Stone Pony, is a band called Flourish,
Right.
which
Okay.
I don't know if they were on the show when you were there.
I believe
but,
so.
Yeah, but we, you know, our styles of music aren't even like that similar. Like they're a lot closer to like 70s rock.
Right.
Like 70s-esque rock, because I mean obviously we're not in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
But, it's like definitely very 70s inspired rock, and even though like stylistically we're really different, we get along like really well. Like
That's cool.
we're all like really good
Yeah.
friends. Like we're all connected. And, like we've been like hanging out on Zoom together, like with our different bands. Like we'll come on, we'll play like Jackbox and like
Love Jackbox.
right, yeah. So we've been doing stuff like that with them. So I think like the band that like we're closest to in this area is definitely Flourish.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, thank you so much. That was actually really cool. Actually, I do have one more question, which is kind of
Sure.
like, a regular question that most musicians get asked. Like, what is your advice for people starting off? I know we covered this a little bit throughout the interview as a whole, but like to have it all compiled into one place.
Yeah.
For people who want to get into the music industry or start a band, especially in this current climate that we're facing,
Yeah.
what do you recommend?
Okay. Honestly, just do it. And I can't stress that enough. Like if you're interested even at all, the best time to start is right now. Like
Right.
if you play that game, which I did for a long time, of like, I'm gonna like, I'll start tomorrow, or like I'll learn how to play guitar after this thing in my life is going
Guilty.
on. Right, exactly, right. Like if you keep doing that, you're gonna push it off, and it's not gonna be something that you really get after. But if you really do want to do it, the best time to start is like right now, like
Right.
presently. And the quicker that you start just like doing stuff, the quicker that things will happen. And I know that sounds like that might be like a weird, it's like, well, of course, if you're doing things will happen. But
Right.
like, honestly, like that's how it worked with my band. Like, we just liked playing music, so we just played music.
Right.
And things just kind of happen from there. I really can't stress it enough. It comes down to just the dedication of wanting to do something.
Right.
And just persistence, because honestly, persistence is what's going to get you through basically anything. Basically anything that you're dealing with, as long as you're persistent and determined, that's
Right.
gonna push you through it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. That actually is very helpful. Not, I'm sure, to everyone else, but personally to me, that actually really helped me. And I hope I'm going to take that to heart after this, and work some more.
Yeah, dude, I'm really glad that you've experienced. I'm really glad that I can help in
Yeah.
any possible way.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, and now to conclude the interview, we are going to go on to Royalty Recommends, which is pretty much a staple of the show at this point, right after we run the other intro that I have. All right, and welcome to Royalty Recommends, the weekly section of the show where me and my guests both recommend at least one thing to the audience. And as per usual, Jack, why don't you take it away?
Oh man. Okay, so I have to say that my brothers, my dad, and I have been watching a lot of movies, and recently we watched the movie Fargo. Oh my god. I don't want to I don't want to say anything. It's just like, because like it's one of those things where it's based on a true story, and
Right.
you really like can't see exactly where things are going, and it's just everything just kind of happens. But the whole premise is that it's set in this like quiet Minnesota town.
Right.
Is it Minnesota or North Dakota? I don't know. It's that area. Yeah,
Right.
it's North Dakota. I'm just dumb. But Fargo, North Dakota. And it's like this nice town of like a bunch of really sweet people and everything, and some crazy stuff happens, and you get to see like the contrast of
Oh, okay.
of like this nice town and some crazy things. And
Oh,
also
interesting.
it's like unintentionally really funny. Like that dichotomy makes it really funny.
Oh, interesting.
Like the meaning that like the characters aren't trying to be funny, but
Right.
like the situations that they get in are like hilarious. So it's like it's gripping. Like you don't know what's gonna happen, and there's like a lot of like tension and stuff, but it's also like unintentionally pretty funny.
And it's all
Plus,
based
there's
on.
Steve Buscemi.
Oh, of course. And
Right,
it's all
yeah.
based on true events, you said?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah, it's wild. It's
Nice.
absolutely wild. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like, who knows how close it is to like the actual events?
Right. Yeah. There's always a
Um,
grain of salt to take those with.
Definitely, but man, it literally from like the first scene, you're like, what is happening?
So mine's also a viewing experience, if that's how you want to categorize something like this. But
I like that.
I recently just finished the anime Death Note, and like
Classic.
it only took me 4 days. It's a very old anime. It's like 10, 14 years at this point. I think
Whoa.
so.
Okay.
2020 to 2006. Quick math. Yeah, 14 years ago. But it's intense. It's not not sci-fi. It's a mystery thriller drama. I guess that's where you can categorize it as, supernatural stuff like that. And I finished it in like 3 or 4 days. It's like 40 episodes long, and I just blew right through it.
Yeah.
Which might not have been the best, considering, this was like finals week and I had a lot of work to do, but oops.
But
But-
did you get it done? You got the work done?
I think so.
So you got the work done and Death Note done. So like doubly productive.
Yeah, I guess. I don't consider watching TV productive, but yeah, if I want to make myself feel better, I can look at it that way. Well, thank you, Jack, for coming on for this
Thanks
interview.
for having me.
Yeah, no problem. If people are interested in learning more about you or the band, where could they find you?
So you can straight up Google "You Might Be Mine" and we will come up. So you do that, you'll get us on like Instagram, Facebook. We have a website, and it's at all of our like Twitter, YouTube, everything is just "You Might Be Mine." It's just
Okay.
it's just our name. So you definitely can find us all over. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for watching/listening. This has been King Chaos. I have been Kyle Pepitone.
And I've been Jack Powers.
And we will see you all next week. Goodbye.